Hello, welcome to the West Ham Way YouTube and myself, Mark Carlow, and Mr. Riley Finch. Riley, BROJA, SCAMACCA. These are the two names now that are very, very red hot in terms of who West Ham are after in terms of a striker this summer. Now, the news is coming out at the moment. I haven't had it verified yet by X, and it might be very soon, that West Ham are close to agreeing a loan deal with Chelsea. I think that's the way we're going to do for BROJA, that is. After having a bid, I think, possibly knocked back. I think we put a £30 million bid down, which I believe was £25 million cash up front, I believe, which is pretty good deal, to be fair, I think. But anyway, apparently Chelsea are a little bit reluctant with that and want to do a loan. Obviously, we've got a SCAMACCA bid, which I believe is in, which is being considered. Firstly, what's your thoughts on these two strikers? If you had to go with one or the other, I mean, I know a fair bit about BROJA from last season. SCAMACCA, I'm not so hot on. I've seen some clips. That's pretty much all I've seen, really. What are your thoughts?
Well, they're quite different strikers, to be fair. So BROJA's more of a, you sort of knock it down. He's going to knock it down. He's going to hold the ball up for you, and he's going to drive at the goal. He's 6'3", so he's a very physical striker, and he's got a really good finish on him. His low-driven shots are really, really good. SCAMACCA, and I hate to make this comparison, but SCAMACCA reminds me a bit of Haller in the way that, how Haller was like 6'4", 6'2", but he had the athleticism of someone who's like 5'10". Like, he was really athletic. Well, SCAMACCA's about 6'5", and he's really acrobatic, which I'm very, very shocked by. And he's got a blistering finish on him. He does knock the ball down consistently. Yeah. But he's more of a drive to go, a bit like Antonio, where he's just a bit like a bus. He just goes. And he's got a really, really good finish on him. And he's quite pacey for a 6'5" guy. And obviously he's good in the air, because if you're 6'5", what more do you expect? Yes. He scored 16 goals for Sassuolo, I believe it is, last season, as opposed to BROJA's 6. So there's that sort of element of it. They're not vastly different strikers, but I would say their play styles do differ a little bit. BROJA I would kind of attribute more like Antonio, in the sense that he's going to hold the ball up and sort of bring the other players into play. Whereas SCAMACCA is more like an out-and-out striker, where if you give him the ball, like Lukaku, he's just going to drive through like a bus, and he's going to try and score a goal. They're kind of different strikers. And my, a bit like Ireland, my head's turning a little bit for SCAMACCA. I can't lie,
Really?
I was all BROJA at the start, and then I pulled SCAMACCA for a chat, and
now next week you tell me you love Lingard next. You know what I mean?
No way.
What's happening to
you? At the start of the window, I thought, that's the name, BROJA, get him in. I want him absolutely, and I still wouldn't be opposed to that. But SCAMACCA looks like a player, man. He does. He's 22 years of age. Like I say, 16 goals. I do worry, because the Italian league, players don't tend to warm to the Premier League that well if they're from the Italian league, especially if they're a striker. And obviously the last Italian striker we got was Simone Zaza, so I'm not really sure.
I'll be honest with you, this is the bit that's putting me off. Like, SCAMACCA, from what I've seen of him, what I know of him so far, like you say, looks a very decent striker. He seems to have the attributes, and he's got the pace and the power, and you kind of think, that fits the mold. What puts me off of this is what you just said. Basically, he's not proven in the Premier League. He's not lived in London before, and all that. And these things, I think, we need to really seriously consider. I believe as well, I did read something, whether that's true in terms of him having I think his father had an altercation with some of the players at his club or something like that. I've read something like that. So I think he comes with a little bit of baggage as well. Whereas I just think BROJA, for me, like you say, his hold-up play is fantastic, and he just seems really classy on the ball. And the fact he's only 20 as well, really, I think, is an amazing feat. And the fact he lives in London, he's basically a Londoner, really. And I think he's been at Chelsea since he was about 9 or 8.
He's got quite a surprising accent if you've heard him in interviews.
Yeah, I know. He sounds like a
he's quite an EastEnder, isn't he?
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, I couldn't believe it. But that's what I mean. And I think these things really do add value, because, you're getting someone, then he knows London, he's settled. Let's be honest, he hasn't got to move, has he? He can stay where he's living now. I think that's going to help us in the long run. And also Premier League experience. He's played against these defences. He knows what to expect, and I can only see him getting better. That's the reason for me. I would rather BROJA over SCAMACCA. However, with the news now then that West Ham possibly are going to go and attack a loan deal with Chelsea, which on the face of it now kind of makes a bit sense. If Chelsea are going to be very reluctant to sell and whatever, because I think Chelsea have got quite a strict policy on their selling their players. They tend to have buyback clauses and things like that
I think
inserted.
that's what put us off buying Tammy Abraham as well. Is that I think they wanted to put a buyback clause into the Tammy Abraham deal.
Right.
And I'm
I
pretty
think
sure
they have, haven't they, with Roma? I think they have.
Yeah,
got
they have
one.
put one in with Roma, so I think that really put us off when we did a deal for them for Tammy Abraham. So I would be, wouldn't be surprised at all if they're doing the same for the BROJA deal, and that just doesn't make sense for us at all. Why would we be sitting there basically trying to make profit off a player? That just doesn't make sense to me.
No. I mean, it's difficult, isn't it, with Chelsea? I understand what they're saying. That he's a young player from their youth academy. They're reluctant to let go. But at the end of the day, the player, before I understand it, BROJA wants to leave, and I believe he actually wants to come to West Ham. So, and I think he's verbally told Chelsea that he wants to go. So, for me, I think they shouldn't realistically be standing in his way. But that's me being a little bit biased. You could say the same about us and Rice in the future. We've had this debate before, so I can understand their position. I personally, if I was West Ham, I'd probably go for the loan, but I would say we want the loan with, I would say the caveat being that we get the first dibs on the summer to buy the player and maybe set the fee already. Say, we'll pay you 45 million at the end of the year. That's the agreement. If we want to keep it, because he can come to West Ham and flop, and then we think, no, this is not what we want, and move on. So it might work best for all parties, but it depends on whether Chelsea will do that. X's update on Patreon, the latest was that he is the number one target. He's been saying this throughout the window, X. Is David Moyes' number one striker target. I believe that SCAMACCA was presented by Rob Newman.
It was,
to Moyes. I think he was a fine for him, and he said, look, this is they can get an agreement in place, and it's basically going to go down to Moyes making the decision. But you think that with a loan, then would he be able to do both of them? I'm not sure whether that's going to be viable, or because again, then you've got a bit of a gamble there, a little bit with SCAMACCA, because if you buy him and then he doesn't work out, then
I mean, who would you be playing if you had both strikers at the club as well? And I think Antonio would pretty much be out of the team, wouldn't he? I mean, I feel like he is more of a winger technically, but we've already got Fornals and Benny on the left. I don't really see him taking Bowen's spot ever.
Yeah, no,
not even in fringe games, really. So I don't think we were quite ready to say goodbye to Antonio yet. So really, for me, you've got to buy one or the other. If it is BROJA on loan and no SCAMACCA, that's fine. That frees up money for a left back. If we, like you say, if we can agree a fee in principle, the thing is we just can't do a Lingard deal again. We can't take a blind loan. We can't just accept a loan, build up the players for them, and then them keep them. There's got to be some. We've got to have some sort of foot in the door to where if we do want to buy him the next summer, we've got the best chance of buying him. And
absolutely, I'm sure they can insert that. I'm sure they can insert that, Riley. I'm sure they can.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they will, but the thing is with Chelsea, if they don't want to sell him to us, they're not going to sell him to us. Like, they're a astute club. They're very lacking in the striker division at the moment. It just loaned out Lukaku. They pretty much got Werner up front. They couldn't sign Lewandowski. They couldn't sign Ronaldo. There's not too many strikers knocking about. All I will say is SCAMACCA really does interest me. I mean, PSG are after him, and they're absolute giants. So who else has been in for BROJA? In contrast, you've got Everton and Newcastle. You've got PSG coming in for this guy. So
that's a good point.
But I feel like with SCAMACCA, he's just a player, man. I don't know. I feel like for me, it's always been
SCAMACCA, isn't it? You're camp SCAMACCA. I can sense it. I can sense this.
Honestly, man, I love BROJA. I think BROJA is better for the team. He's better for the team. He's Moyes' man, and I've wanted him from the start. But I don't know, the Italian stallion. He's touched my eye a little bit.
He uses Italian ways and wooed you.
Yeah, honestly, he's got some charm about him.
Yeah, which is tattoos. I think it's that tattoo. Isn't it? I personally, I totally understand where you're coming from. Personally, I'd like BROJA. I just think I think that'd be a really positive step. SCAMACCA, it's probably because I don't know enough about him. If I spent a bit more time understanding the player, I'd probably get a bit more excited. I think we know David Moyes' man is BROJA. I think the loan thing's quite interesting because I think that'll work for all parties at the moment. But as you say, if it's going to be the BROJA route, then that is going to be the deal. Then West Ham have really got to make sure they get the right deal in place, i.e. that we do get first dibs in the summer or an option to buy maybe. There's got to be some sort of clause in that. We can't, like you say, we can't go down a Lingard route again. We're going to go back to Chelsea and go, actually, we're going to hang on to him now or create a bidding war next summer with bloody Newcastle, no doubt, and everybody else. We don't want that. We want him to be our player. It'd be interesting, unless West Ham, of course, up their bid, which could well do that, because I think the offer they've made to Chelsea is decent. 25 million up front. That's a lot of money, isn't it?
They should be accepting that. I don't know why they're not, but I mean, obviously, don't want to sell to a rival. But the thing is, whichever player we don't buy this summer, we will not be able to buy next summer. Is the problem, because BROJA might cost 50, 60 million next summer, and who's going to be stepping in for that? Newcastle. And if PSG were in for Scamacca, there's no reason why they won't go in for him again next summer or even in January. Yeah. So whichever player we don't go for, we will lose out on. And I feel like, personally, and I know I sound like I'm sort of changing my mind here, I feel like I'd be more annoyed if we missed out on BROJA than if we missed out on Scamacca, even though I really do like Scamacca. For me, if it's just a loan and there's no sort of real promise of being able to buy him next summer, I'd sign Scamacca up. But if there's a loan where we've kind of got an agreement in place to where, we're looking pretty much nail on the head, whether he signs for us this summer or not, if he does well for us, he's going to sign, I'd be going BROJA personally. But I really do think people are underlooking Scamacca because he's an absolute player.
Okay, it's interesting. And one thing before you go, mate, before we go wrap this video up, was one thing we need to bear in mind actually on this is Chelsea's relationship with West Ham. Like you just said, they don't want to sell to a rival, they don't want to upset, whatever, which is understandable. But don't forget, this is a club that wants to buy Declan Rice, and maybe they need to create a positive relationship with West Ham. Maybe that's something they need to bear in mind and think, well, look, if we do a deal with West Ham and create it creates maybe a dialogue for next summer for them with Rice. No, trust me, I don't want to be selling Rice to Chelsea at all. I really don't want to see that happen. I really don't want to see him wear their kit, but it might be something we just got to accept. But what I'm saying is that maybe that's what Chelsea need to start thinking about. And maybe West Ham can play that card, maybe say to him, well, look, you want to start playing hardball with us? You think you're getting Rice next time? No chance. And then maybe start saying, and then maybe they start having a second thought about it. It's interesting. But what I am excited about, though, is that it does feel like this week, things are really starting to hot up. We've got players coming through the door now. I think deals are starting to get concluded that for some big positions, and it really looks like this could be an exciting summer for West Ham. I think we could be looking at about 7 or 8 players in, and let's be honest, 7 or 8 good players as well, not just It looks like we're actually stepping up. So it's exciting times, mate. I'm liking it.
Yeah, I mean, the most important thing for me this window was just getting a striker over the line, and if you give me BROJA or Scamacca, I'm absolutely over the moon. I think that's an absolute top striker, and realistically, could be a top striker for us for the next 10 years.
Absolutely,
it's really looking good. The only thing I'm confused about is, the way we're going about our business at the moment. It seems like we're going to be spending 120, 150 million. So I do hope that our big spending is not going to sort of come back to bite us, and that we're going to be like, oh, we don't have enough money for a left back or a right wing or whatever, because we need a left back. So I do hope that we're still being stringent with our money, that we're being smart about it. We're not just chucking money about.
Yeah, I think they are. I think the club are being pretty sensible. I think as well, the left back scenario, from what X has said and given an update, I interviewed him last week for the website, and he insisted to me that the left back situation is going to happen. I think there's 2 players are interested in. There's going to be a big bid going in imminently. So that'd be quite interesting as well. So I think you're right. I don't think the club are going to splash massively at one position and to sacrifice others. I think there is a bit of a plan here, which is that's what I'm liking to see this summer as well. It feels like there is a bit of a plan. Whereas, past years it's been so scattergun, hasn't it? It's just been just get any player for any position, doesn't matter, and then make it work. Rather, this time it feels like there's a bit of a structure to what we're doing, which is
honestly, can you imagine how many years it's going to save off your life that on deadline day we're going to have no business to do? Like, we're going to be living for another
maybe 2 years. The streets.
Yeah, it's going to be a boring day. It's going to be like hands in the pockets, just kind of kicking up dirt.
And shout at pigeons or something. All right, mate. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take care. Speak soon.